So I'm with the leader of Surrey Heath Borough Council, Councillor Moira Gibson, and we are doing your leaders' announcements ahead of full council tonight, which is we're hoping to be a regular thing. Residents actually complained that you didn't have one
I know.
over the last couple of months. So here we are doing your leaders' announcements, and there's a couple of things that you wanted to discuss. The first one being Woodhall Lane in Windlesham. Now, you're the ward member for Windlesham.
Yep.
What's going on there?
Well, I think what's going on there is around over the weekend there was a lot of chopping down of trees and a lot of trees, not just one or two, and burning going on a piece of quite large tract of land at the junction of Woodhall Lane and the A30. And
they're protected trees as well,
they're
aren't they?
protected trees. I think there were a lot of oaks that were actually affected.
Okay.
And I think as soon as Monday morning came, officers went down there to have a look at what was going on. Were very concerned with what they saw and with what might be happening on that site. So on Tuesday afternoon we got an interim injunction in the High Court, and that is what it is. It is an interim injunction. It will stop things for a time, but of course the owners of the site will have the right to appeal, but we got an interim injunction to stop them doing anything more on that site until we see what is actually happening. Now it's as I think it's not a public site. It is a privately owned site.
So they're giving any indication of what they're trying to do there?
They haven't given any indication, but the people involved, we do know, have companies that provide mobile home parks. Now, I'm not saying that's what they intend to do there. That's what we've got to ascertain when we go down there. But it is going to be it's going to be a very careful exercise to go down there and actually put that injunction into place.
Okay.
And then we will have to ascertain what it is exactly they want to do. But the hallmarks are there that it is likely to be something more than just taking a few trees down.
Yeah, and like I say, they are trees that have tree preservation orders on them.
They have tree preservation orders on.
Whatever happens with the injunction or any court proceedings, that's not going to bring those trees back, is it?
No, it isn't. And you know, it once they've gone, particularly oaks, because I think everybody knows how many years it takes for an oak to mature.
Yeah.
They're never going to come back, probably in our lifetime anyway. And you know, it is unfortunate, very unfortunate. Sometimes these things happen, and this is what happened. It happened over a weekend when, you know, people can actually rely on the fact that there may not be the council presence that there would be during the week.
Right.
And we just need to see what is going on that site. Whatever is going on, the council are dealing with it as much as they possibly can, but they are hampered by the fact that this is privately owned property. It's not the same as moving a traveller encampment off publicly owned land.
Right.
It is much more difficult, much longer process, and it involves planning applications, the planning process, and indeed the High Court as well.
I wonder what the sanctions are on removal of trees. Probably not anywhere near enough, otherwise they wouldn't be scared. They'd be scared to do it.
There is a financial cost, obviously, and I can't say, because I don't physically know how many trees were taken down, but each tree does carry a financial cost to it, and sometimes it can actually carry a criminal prosecution as well. But it depends actually what's been done there. But some people, you and I might be concerned about that. Some people just aren't.
Okay. Well, no doubt our enforcement officers are watching what's going on there like hawks.
Yes.
So let's wish them well with that.
Yeah.
The next thing you wanted to talk about was local plans.
Yeah, there's been a number of local plans that have come through an inspection. As people probably know, our draft local plan isn't due to go to a public examination until next year sometime. But there are a number of plans which can give us an indication of what is the view by the inspectorate when it comes to look at the local plans. And there does seem to be a cohesive move to each inspector upping the number of houses that have been put into the draft local plan. Both Waverley, Guildford, Woking, and indeed I think Tandridge, their numbers have been upped in their last local plan review, and quite considerably upped, not just a couple of houses here or there, but quite considerably. And there also seems to be a sort of informal direction that about 2 to 3% of all of the green belt in all of these areas has been released for building. It seems to be a sort of direction that the Planning Inspectorate is following. And people have got to remember that the Planning Inspectorate isn't a truly independent body. The Planning Inspectorate is the government. So what they're doing is giving effect to the Secretary of State's sort of policies. And we know what pronouncements have been coming out recently about the policies towards housing.
And to be fair, though, it's not just the Conservatives that have said that. It doesn't matter what government.
No, it doesn't.
They all want to build like crazy, don't they?
Exactly. It doesn't matter what government comes into power. What we will be facing is more and more houses being built, and inevitably that's going to put the green belt under danger.
And you know, residents do get very upset when councils build on the green belt. But this council has a planning committee. Could always turn it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are the consequences of that?
Well, the consequences, they're various, but some of them would be serious, some of them wouldn't be. But when a planning committee turns something down, it's always open to the applicant to appeal it to a planning inspectorate. The
same planning inspectorate you were just talking about?
The same planning inspectorate I was just talking about. Right. And often the planning inspectors who look at them are also ones who've looked at local plans as well. They're not a different breed. Right. And so it's always open for that to go to an appeal, and you lose a bit of control over it when it goes to appeal. So if the inspector decided to allow it, he will then set what conditions are attached to that planning permission.
Which could result in less community gains? Is that what you're saying?
It could result in less community gains. Right. I mean, the majority of time they usually go with what the council has asked for. Right. Sometimes they won't if they don't think that it's applicable to that particular development. The other issue is a bit more serious. Is if the planning committee hasn't used reasonable grounds for turning that application down, then you could have costs awarded against you. Now, usually, you know, I don't think it would be difficult for a planning committee to make sure that they have reasonable grounds for turning an application down, and usually then you won't be faced with costs. The applicant at Heath Park Wood, for instance, asked for costs. He didn't get them because the inspector considered that the grounds were reasonable, even though he didn't particularly agree with them.
I see. Okay. Well, again, let's all keep our eyes on what's happening with the local plans. No doubt you'll update residents in future. Yeah. Excuse me, in future leader announcements. Yes. So the next thing, which I think actually is very serious, and residents really ought to pay attention to what's going on here, and that is the state of Surrey County Council's finances. Now, I have an interest in this because I am a county councillor. Yes,
rather you than me, Paul.
But yeah, what have you got to say about that?
I think I just want to point out, I don't want to go into the details of Surrey County Council's finances. That's not for me to actually go into. I can comment on them. I think they are in a very, very difficult position, and not all of it is of their own making. I have to say, I think there is a genuine feeling amongst all of the Surrey leaders that Surrey County Council and the South East and Surrey in particular have not been treated fairly
by our government, by our own Conservative government,
by the Conservative government, but indeed by governments before that. So I don't think we'll get any better treatment under any other government, to be honest.
No.
And they are facing very, very difficult decisions, and we could sit back in the boroughs and districts and say, oh dear, poor county council. But actually it's going to have a knock-on effect on us, because I think in Surrey Heath alone, we get support from Surrey County Council for some of our more vulnerable service and service users to the tune of about 800,000. Right. Now, we believe that that's going to be reduced by 250,000 this year. But that's still up for grabs. That's not certain. It could be more. And eventually we believe that all of it will go in order to try and fill the gaps that the county have got in their budgets. That's going to have quite serious knock-on effects to a lot of services that we provide. And, you know, I could mention elderly people's services, some of the children's services some of the troubled family services that we actually provide. And it's actually affecting the most vulnerable people in our society. And that's the knock-on effect it's going to have on borough budgets as well. So we're not immune. And we can't just put our heads in the sand and say, well, that's the county's problems, because actually it's ours as well.
Right. And the leader did say in his statement yesterday at full council that they will be working to strike deals, quote,
Yeah.
with the boroughs and districts.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what that
it,
day
it
actually
will
involves.
It will be interesting to see what those deals will be and how it affects our services as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now on to more happy
Hopefully.
and more cheerful
Yeah.
topic,
Yeah.
which is the Christmas activities at the
Yeah,
square.
there's a lot of Christmas activities being planned for the square, so please do come and take part in them. There will be a Christmas an event. Some of it will be around Halloween and possibly bonfire night as well, not just Christmas. But leading up to Christmas, we plan to have an event every weekend at the square. So come along. We've got a Christmas parade planned. We've got Halloween events planned. We've got themed evenings, particularly to sort of represent things like the Christmas panto of Sleeping Beauty. I think there's a Wind in the Willows themed evening as well.
Oh,
there's
great.
probably a Mary Poppins. You've seen the umbrellas in the square. That was about Mary Poppins.
Oh, right. My daughter loves that.
Yeah, and I think that's being released here in the beginning of December.
Right.
And also, I think the Nutcracker Suite, for those of you who like ballet.
Yep.
That's coming to the theatre around Christmas, and we will have a themed evening around there. There's obviously the Santa's Grotto.
Yep.
We're going
Fashion
to
show.
And the fashion show, which is actually this weekend.
Yes.
I mean, everybody says, well, why are you having a fashion show this early? But that's actually when the retailers told us you needed to start having issues like that sort of show in the run up to Christmas. So that's actually happening this weekend. We've got a lot of the fashion retailers in Surrey Heath who have actually contributed towards it. Some of the hairdressers are doing the hair and the makeup, I believe. And that's this Saturday in the square. So please do come along and look at it. And I think it will be through the day.
Okay, that's great. Well, Moira, thanks very much again for your leaders' announcements. We'll do this again ahead of the next full council meeting,
which will be actually quite close to Christmas.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you very much.
Thank you.